Books Inspirational presents an unabridged recording of The Sacred Shore by Janette Oke and T. Davis Bunn, narrated by Suzanne Toren. This work is copyrighted 2000 by Janette Oke and T. Davis Bunn. This recording is copyrighted 2001 by Recorded Books. Oceans and circumstances have forced families apart. For the banished Acadians drifting in exile, the shore means safety, though it is a safety at a terrible price. And now, the sacred shore.
Prologue. Catherine stood within the shadows of the kitchen and watched her daughter pass before the open window. She glanced at the delicate face framed in dark hair and knew instantly where Anne was going. Catherine began to call out to her, to tell her that it was time to prepare dinner. But she held back. Though it had always been difficult to allow Anne to be alone at times like this, Catherine knew with a mother's instinct that she must give her daughter these moments on her own. Her daughter. Catherine moved closer to the window to watch the slender figure continue down the village lane. Anne was headed for the cliffside, a high promontory with far-reaching views. Just beyond the village borders, the sparkling blue Bay of Fundy joined with Cobequid Bay. When Anne was still a young child, she had taken to walking out there with her grandfather, and she had selected an ancient tree trunk as her favorite spot. Catherine had joined them on several occasions, and she knew Anne still went to sit there and be alone with her thoughts. What is she thinking of today? Catherine wondered as Anne moved out of sight. A child no longer, she was now 18, with a quiet yet joyful nature. Even so, there were moments like these when the stillness seemed to gather about her like a shroud. Then her features became as grave and inscrutable as an elderly woman's, and Anne would wander off on her own. Catherine could not help but ask herself again if they had done the right thing. Should she and Andrew have told her early on about her heritage? About being born to a French family, then being exchanged for Catherine's own infant so she could be taken to an English doctor, and then losing contact with her birth parents after the tragic French expulsion. Was it right to subject a young child to such truths? Was it proper, as she and Andrew had with great soul-searching concluded, to tell Anne these things while she was still young and able to accept with a child's loving trust? At moments like these, when Anne's features became etched with the quiet sorrow of pieces missing from her life, Catherine could not help but wonder. Other memories, too painful to ponder, tumbled through her mind, and instantly Catherine returned to her dinner preparations, the motions as natural as breathing. There were more questions she dared not ask, not any longer. Chapter 1. Before Charles Harrow set foot upon land, he already loathed the place. Halifax was, to his mind, loud and ugly and utterly unappealing. Nothing about the scene seemed inviting at all. The sun rested on the western slopes and shone upon the town rising in dirty, unkempt stages from the harbor. Jostling throngs filling the harbor square were forced to thread their way through bleating cattle and shouting soldiers. From every corner rang hammers and saws, and shouts intermingled with the mewling of the animals. The workmen's dust was so thick it reminded him of the storm at sea they had recently endured. Charles sneezed into his handkerchief and wished himself back in London, away from these untamed and uncivilized colonies. The fact that a whim of fate had forced him here left him furious. He was not accustomed to doing anything other than exactly what suited him most. "As I live and breathe, there's the Pride of Weymouth," cried the captain, moving up alongside him at the rail. "Look at her resting there at anchor, calm as by your leave. I never thought we'd see her spars again." Lord Charles, 8th Earl of Sutton, released an explosive breath. It would do no good to bemoan his fate again. He had survived the journey. He had...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.